Recently, he was endorsed by the Oneida County Republican Party, Madison County as well. In studio, or online right now, I should say, is the Republican candidate for Congress. Richard Hanna's seat is Stephen Wells. Stephen, good morning.
Good morning, Bill.
Thanks for coming on, and it's our first chance to be able to get to chat with you. And just why don't we start out by telling us a little bit about yourself?
Sure, absolutely. Well, I live over in Cazenovia with my wife and two boys, 11 and 12-year-old boys. I grew up here in central New York and went to Cornell University. And for the last over 20 years, I've run a family business here.
It's I'm noticing on your website, which, by the way, the website, explain why you chose this address, this domain name, which is wellsforsecurity.com. What does that mean?
Sure. Well, happy to. So the reason that we chose security is because that's essentially the reason that I'm running. The country, in my view, has been headed down the wrong direction, and a lot of it revolves around our security, our own economic security here in upstate New York, our national security as it relates to defense, and our own personal safety and security of ourselves and our family.
And, I'm looking through, and I don't think it's any secret that right off the bat when your name started popping up, Assemblywoman Claudia Tenney came out and tied you to Andrew Cuomo, called you a Cuomo contributor or something to that effect. Can you address that?
Sure. Well, first of all, that was not my donation. That was my brother's. But, over 99% of my donations have been to Republicans. So, yeah, I'm not really sure what that term means, Cuomo Republican or whatever she was saying.
And you were talking about what you've done with you've been with the Republican Party. You were a finance chair. I mean, you've raised money for Republicans. Talk about your ties to the Republican Party.
Sure, happy to. So, yes, I've always been a registered Republican. In fact, as you mentioned, I co-chaired Congressman Cacco's Finance Committee, and I have helped a lot of the upstate Republican members of Congress. And in addition to that, I serve as the upstate regional finance chair for the state Republican Party.
Got it.
Can I ask you to follow up?
This is Jeff, by the way.
Just to follow up on that, I've heard you referred to as an outsider, political outsider, and you addressed the claim made by Assemblywoman Tenney there. So how would you describe yourself? Because I know you've been involved, as you just mentioned, for years with fundraising for Republicans, and you've been the finance chairman for a couple of campaigns. How do you describe yourself? I know this is your first run at state office, though.
Well, that's right. At 52, I've never held any elective office, so I am an outsider. I've been running a business concerned with growing our business and creating jobs here in New York. And, all my activities with the Republican Party have been strictly volunteer.
And it is interesting that you refer to, and you say you've heard people refer to him as an outsider. It's on your website, businessman, outsider, and conservative. And that outsider issue, the fact that you haven't run, even though you've been involved, you say that is what affords you that label of being the outsider. The fact
that's right.
Yeah. Okay, then I guess I would get on the road. I'd like to get a couple of quick issues. I got about 4 minutes left, 5 minutes. A couple of quick issues on where you stand. I know that Congressman Hanna has been a moderate, and this district has, for the most part, really had moderates. Whether it's a more conservative Democrat or I guess more of a liberal or moderate Republican over the years. So where do you stand on, for instance, should we have shut down the government? Did Representative Hanna make a mistake when he said, no, we should not shut down the government? Where did you stand on that?
Yeah, well, I don't think it's a good idea to shut down the government. I don't think it's ever a good idea to shut down the government if that can be avoided. That's not the way we want to take the direction of the country.
And how about the military? Where do you stand on military? Do you feel we should be? I think I read a story just the other day. There's a general right now saying that if we were at war with China or Russia right now, we'd be in trouble. What kind of investment do you think we need to make in the military?
That's a great question, Bill, and I agree. Again, I'm running on national security. I was talking to a retired admiral just a week before last, and he was telling me how our nuclear fleet of ballistic missile submarines is at the end of its useful life. They have about a 30-year life, and they're at the end of their life. So it's going to take a significant investment. These are very, very important component of our nuclear triad that protects the country. So it is going to take a significant investment in our national defense. No question about it.
Where do you stand on when it comes to the issue of choice? Pro-choice, pro-life? Where do you stand?
So I look at the role of and I look at this regarding everything. What's the role of the federal government? So, I do not support taxpayer funding for abortion, but at the same time, I have to say, what is the role of the federal government, and why are we going to, or should we be regulating people anymore? I think we need less government in our lives. We need less federal government in our lives. And so that's the approach that I'm going to take in the U.S. Congress.
All right. Can I ask you about your support of the Republicans in the presidential race? Are you a Trump guy? Where do you fall in that discussion?
The big question. Yeah. And you mentioned conservative right now. I heard a term used for the first time today. A term used, mainstream conservative. Never heard those two words together. But today, that is what conservatives are describing themselves as, the difference between Trump, who they say is not a conservative, and themselves, mainstream conservatives. So where are you?
That's funny. I don't know what all these labels and what they mean to people. All I can do is answer your question on the basis of where I stand on issues. I can tell you that I'm going to support the Republican nominee, whoever that ends up being, and the reason why is not just because I've been a lifelong Republican and I'm a robot, but because look at the alternative on the other side. I think it's pretty clear that the two possible candidates on the other side are either an outright socialist or someone who believes in a European-style social democratic system. And look, I'm a free enterprise champion, having started and grown a business. It's just not what I'm about, socialism.
Can you tell me about that business, by the way? It's a vending business. Talk about what you've done for a living and how you make your living.
Sure, happy to. So the name of our company is American Food and Vending, and we're in the food service business, which really what we do is feed people away from home, primarily in colleges and companies where they work, and some institutions, sporting locations. We do it right here from our headquarters in upstate New York. Again, we employ over 650 people here in upstate New York. Doing that, we've been fortunate to expand, build to outside the state, and continue to grow the company.
And why is it that the new quarters aren't working in our soda machine? Could you explain that to me? I am really...
That would definitely be one to blame my brother about.
These are the issues, to me, that are important. It's those everyday issues when I put that quarter in and nothing comes out. It is the struggle of the day for me.
Steve, you've painted yourself as an outsider. Supporters of Claudia Tenney would say, well, she's not an outsider and she knows the ropes there. Are you not worried about the learning curve if you get to Washington?
I'm not worried about the learning curve. I think that Washington would be a whole heck of a lot better off if we had business people that went down there and ran the government. It's pretty clear that the professional politicians who've been doing this are not getting it done. I think that's, no matter where you stand, I think there's pretty much a consensus right now that the professional politicians in government are just not getting it done.
Yeah. My last question for you, and we'll let you off the hook here. I'm sure you've heard Assemblywoman Claudia Tenney is a fierce competitor. I'm not sure that it would look much different than what's going on the national scene. As this could get tough. This could become a really tough couple of months heading into this primary in June. What kind of candidate are you going to be?
Well, look, before I was in business, I was a prosecutor, and I handled all the worst kinds of crimes: rape, robbery, murder, capital murder. Competition and standing up for what's right is not going to bother me in the least, Bill. I look forward to it, and I look forward to a conversation about the issues that are going to matter and what we're actually going to be able to do in the real world to get things done. Yeah. And that's what business people bring to the table. So that's what I'm going to be talking about.
All right. I have one last here. Tim has been waiting in Utica for a bit. Has a quick question. Tim, I can give you like 5 seconds. Quickly, what's your question for Stephen Wells?
Hey, Steve, I'm just interested in finding out what your opinion is of the condition of the Republican Party at this point.
All right. That's a good question, and it is a big issue right now. What are your thoughts, Stephen?
It is a good question, Tim, and I appreciate it. I think, look, it's unfortunate that even within the party, there's a lot of, and you see this on both sides. You see this on the Democratic side. There's an awful lot of division within the public right now, and it's reflected within the party system as well. And look, we've got to find a way. The president originally, when he came in, was promised to bring everybody together, and that has clearly not happened. So we've got to find a way to bridge our differences and come together much better than we're doing.
All right, the website is wellsforsecurity.com. Stephen Wells, we really appreciate the time, and we'll talk again soon. Hopefully we can get you in studio.
Absolutely. Thanks so much, Bill.
Thank you. Quick break. We'll come right back. I want to get into this MMA thing, and we'll talk more about Stephen Wells coming up as well. Quick break. Come right back at WIBX.